Sawadee krap and welcome to another week here on Thailand News Today on the Thaiger. Been a very busy weekend. We'd also like to apologise for those people who were trying to get onto our website last week. We know there were some problems. We were actually trying to change over to a new server, but we did have a lot of problems. We've actually moved back to our old server for now. We'll get that sorted out, but we do apologise if you had a bad experience over the past 7 days. Also, a big shout out to Bob Marlowe. Thank you for becoming a member here at the Thaiger. All right, let's get stuck into today's main news stories. (5,485 new COVID-19 infections and 19 coronavirus-related deaths were reported today. That takes the total in Thailand up to nearly 131,000 COVID-19 cases since January 2020. Out of the new infections, 1,953 cases were reported in Thai prisons today. Most of the new infections are centred around Bangkok at crowded places such as markets, construction camps, factories and high-density housing areas. The deadline to apply for a 60-day visa COVID extension has been pushed to July 29, now allowing stays of up to late September. The extensions are intended for foreigners who are unable to leave Thailand and return to their home countries for whatever reason. The deadline to apply has been extended by the Thai Immigration Bureau several times, typically announced at the last minute. The 60-day visa extension program was launched last year to allow foreigners to stay in Thailand due to the global COVID-19 situation and limited international flights. The extension can be granted if a foreigner cannot return to their home country due to the current pandemic, there are no return flights available, or the foreigner has a letter from their embassy requesting temporary stay. The Department of Disease Control has set an ambitious goal to vaccinate at least 70% of Bangkok residents by July. Yes, by July. The department will focus on the capital city and prioritise distribution of vaccines to other provinces based on how severe outbreaks in their area. The DDC chief commented that if they can't control the COVID-19 situation there in the capital, they won't be able to control it nationally. Local vaccine registration for each province is being launched on June the 14th, and residents can sign up for their vaccine via health volunteers, local hospitals or through local mobile apps. Each province has been tasked with developing a COVID-19 vaccine registration application independently to replace the national MoreProm app. The announcement follows a decision last week for the decentralisation of the vaccine implementation of provinces around the country. Each province will have its own vaccination registration process and app and will handle the rollout in their area. Thailand has officially extended its emergency decree for the 12th time. The decree was set to expire on May 31, but PM Prayut Chan-o-cha has now signed the official document to extend the decree 2 more months. It's now set to expire on July 31. The PM again stated that the emergency decree needs to remain in place as Thailand continues to battle the latest outbreaks in the country, allowing a quick response to situations as they emerge. Over the weekend, local media in Myanmar reported that 2 bombs exploded near the Thai border. The blasts could be heard near the Three Pagoda Pass in Kanchanaburi's Sanklaburi district. Thai soldiers were deployed to the checkpoint as a precaution. Reports say a school just 60 metres from the Thai border caught on fire after the blasts. The flames could be seen from the border checkpoint. No one died in the explosions, according to Burmese sources. It's unclear who was behind the explosions. Since the February military coup in Myanmar, hundreds of protesters and civilians have been killed by security forces. Ethnic armies and rebel troops backing the anti-coup movement have clashed with the state military, with some battles and attacks near the Thai border. The Ukrainian ambassador to Thailand died yesterday morning while on a holiday in Koh Lipe, a small island west of the southern province of Satun. Local health officials say the 45-year-old ambassador died from a heart attack. The ambassador's son said that his father had vomited and lost consciousness before he died. They'd been staying in the same hotel room while vacationing together on the island. Police say the man's room had no evidence of being broken into, and there was no evidence on his body that he'd been in a violent struggle before his death. His remains are being sent to the Satun hospital for an autopsy. Andriy Beshta was appointed as the Ukrainian ambassador to Thailand in 2016. The president of Vietnam has written to US President Joe Biden asking for help with COVID-19 vaccines as his country battles a surge in infections. Over 4,000 new cases have been recorded since a fourth wave took hold at the end of April. The country's received 2 shipments of 2.5 million AstraZeneca doses through COVAX, the global initiative set up to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. But with a population of 97 million, Vietnam has so far only received 400,000 doses from a total order of 30 million from AstraZeneca. To date, only 1 million doses have been administered, while 28,000 people have received the 2 doses. In a letter to the US president, the Vietnamese president praised the partnership between the US and Vietnam, saying it will continue to benefit the citizens of both countries. The Vietnamese leader has also asked the governments of Russia, China and Japan to support Vietnam's vaccination efforts. In other news from Vietnam over the weekend, hundreds of expats reported that their tourist visa extensions had been refused and that many are being asked to leave the country. The Vietnam government is only allowing foreigners with work permits or investment or diplomatic visas to remain in the country at this time. In other regional news, from tomorrow, Malaysia goes into full lockdown in an attempt to flatten the curve of COVID infections across the country. The Malaysian PM has been resisting calls for a lockdown, saying he was trying to balance public health needs with economic recovery. Just hours before the PM announced the lockdown, the Malaysian Hotels Association called for all social and economic activities to be stopped for a 2-week period. Now, all but essential travel is being locked down from tomorrow for a 2-week circuit breaker lockdown. Well, that's all the main news from around Thailand for our Thailand News Today update. Don't forget, we've also got our new program, Good Morning Thailand, as we update stories from the night, and we also get into some discussions and get some guests on talking about various aspects of the news. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you to Norm, who does our daily editing, and we'll see you tomorrow.